Mary Leona Gage took the Miss USA 1957 circuit by storm when she represented Maryland and quickly became the judges' favorite. She would be crowned Miss USA 1957, but her title was revoked less than 24 hours after she was crowned because those judges who loved her so much, nothing she told them was the truth. Mary had to grow up long before she was ready. Her mother was the breadwinner of the family because her father was injured in an industrial accident and couldn't work. Mary received a lot of unwarranted attention from grown men in her community since she was at least 13 years old. Men would whistle at her as she walked down the street, and on at least one occasion that we know of, she fell prey to a predatory older man. Gene Ennis, who was in the Air Force, was 24 when he began a physical relationship with 13-year-old Mary. How do we know this? Well, she got pregnant. Gene had actually left for duty in the Air Force when Mary found out that she was pregnant, and she tried to continuously write to him to let him know, but to no avail. He never responded. Mary panicked. She knew her mother would be livid that she was pregnant and unmarried, so Mary wed some random guy who volunteered in a shotgun wedding. After this, she went to her mother and confessed and said yes, she was pregnant with Gene's child, but at least now she was married to some random dude named Edward Thacker. Understandably horrified, her mother had the marriage between Edward and Mary annulled, and after finding out about the pregnancy, Gene's mother actually low-key forced her son to wed Mary. Mary was only 14 when she gave birth to her first child. She and Gene obviously moved in together because they were now married, and by the age of 16 she had her second child. And obviously being a housewife since the age of 14 didn't really do anything for Mary's mental health. I mean, domesticity definitely didn't become her. So Mary went and got herself a job at a dress shop. Here she met a friend who would change her life forever. This friend was familiar with the modeling world and definitely saw something in Mary. She introduced Mary to the world of pageantry and the Walters modeling agency, who encouraged her to enter Miss Maryland USA. Mary was beautiful and charismatic, and Maryland pageant officials couldn't help but crown her, even though they allegedly knew about her marital status and the fact that she's a mother. According to Mary, pageant officials in Maryland not only told her to lie about her marital status and motherhood, but also about her age for some reason. She was 18 when she competed at Miss USA, so she wasn't underage, but for some reason she told everyone she was 21. So, representing Maryland, Mary won Miss USA 1957, but that's not all. Miss Universe were held practically at the same time back then as Miss USA, and in the 24 hours between Mary's crowning as Miss USA and the time she was dethroned, she had actually already been selected for the top 15 at Miss Universe 1957. Obviously, with it coming out that Mary was a mother and that she was married, obviously, she couldn't compete at Miss Universe, and she was automatically disqualified from Miss Universe as well when she lost her Miss USA title. And this is why 1957 is the only year in history that the USA did not have a representative at Miss Universe. Charlotte Sheffield from Utah, who was the first runner-up at Miss USA 1957, was eventually named as Miss USA 1957 when Mary was dethroned. After the scandal, Mary endured a lot of negative publicity, but she also received some opportunities to tell her side of the story. She appeared on the famous Ed Sullivan Show, where she told everyone that she entered Miss USA for the money and because she needed it to buy necessities for their children. At this point, she was still married to Gene, and he was actually in the audience, and I know she probably just lied about wanting to use the Miss USA money for diapers and stuff in order to garner sympathy. But I really hope Gene felt embarrassed as hell when his wife basically accused him of being a bad provider on national television. And maybe he did, because shortly after this, they actually got divorced and Mary moved with her children, where she worked at various hotels and nightclubs as showgirl. But Mary ended up having a difficult life. She ended up being married 6 times and having 5 children. She had a failed movie career. In fact, the closest she ever came to stardom was being briefly romantically linked with John Drew Barrymore. She continued to be taken advantage of both romantically and professionally. She spiraled into a depression and a life of substance abuse, and she at one point was even charged with child abuse and neglect. That's how bad it got. By the end of her life, she was suffering from serious health issues, living in arrangements that were being paid for by one of her ex-husbands still, and she had barely any relationship with any of her children. She passed away on the 5th of October 2010 at the age of 71. And honestly, her story is just so sad. I mean, while researching her, going deeper and deeper into this rabbit hole, I kept waiting for a happy ending that just never came. And now, 66 years after she competed at Miss USA, the world has finally opened for mothers and wives. I can't help but feel a sense of injustice for Mary. I mean, how would she feel knowing that Miss USA finally allows mothers and wives now? And how would a modern audience like us have reacted to a situation like hers now? I mean, she was just a young girl who had her innocence stolen away from her by a much older, predatory man. And I also can't help but think to myself how different her life would have turned out if she had been lucky enough to be able to compete today and be Miss USA today and go on and potentially have won Miss Universe. I mean, it's just so sad and upsetting that this woman had this very sad, life. And the fact that the Miss USA title was taken away from her, I think, was definitely a pivotal moment in her life. Let me know what you think about Mary's story. I definitely think it's extremely tragic. Honestly, I hate her first husband, Gene Ennis, for what he did to her when she was just a child. Absolutely disgusting. I am disgusted. But let me know what you guys think if this situation were to happen today. First of all, Gene Ennis would be in jail, period. And second of all, Mary could have been Miss USA and had a far better life and far better opportunities. So let me know what you guys think. Did you know about this story? Someone actually enlightened me on this story the other day after I did a video about Tara Connor, who had equally intense moments as Miss USA. She actually got to complete her reign despite all of the accusations levied against her and, her scandals that she had. I'm sure you guys remember, it was just 2006, practically yesterday, when you think about the fact that we are now talking about a woman who was Miss USA in 1957. Let me know what you guys think. Who else do you want me to discuss and talk about? You guys know so much random information in the pageant world. I love getting comments about things that I didn't know about, and then I end up going down this rabbit hole for a whole day. And I just thought that Mary's story was so tragic but yet poignant that I just had to discuss it with you guys. So let me know what you think. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe and I will see you in the next one.